everyone, this is Miss Turner, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the quizzes that we did on today, which is Monday. It was reviewing the November 13th test. What I'm going to do with you is go over the most missed questions. So we seem to get... Let me find my notes. Alright, the first question I'm going to start with is the one that says, my father drove 231 miles with 7 gallons of gas. What was his mileage, miles per gallon? So I'm trying to find my rate. So in order to find a rate, what I need to do is set up a ratio. Remember, there are 3 ways to write a ratio. We are going to write a ratio using fraction notation. So I'm going to take 231 miles, and I'm going to put that as my numerator. The denominator of my ratio, written in fraction form, is going to be 7 gallons. Then to make this a proportion, I'm going to set it equal to what we're trying to figure out, which is how many miles per the fraction bar means to divide per 1 gallon. So from here, maybe you see a relationship, maybe you don't. If you do, good. Let's divide by 7. Always remember, any number divided by itself is always 1. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. My next step then is going to be 231 divided by 7. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I want to show you something. If you go to your Schoolology course, and you click on the PDF file that says multiplication table, when you click it, it's going to take you to a multiplication chart. So you have one that you normally see that looks like this, but then if you scroll down, you have them written out like this. I like this version better, but it's your preference. It's up to you, whatever you like. So then what I'm going to do is find my 7s, and I'm going to look for 23 as a product. I see 21 and 28, so I'm going to choose 21 because it's smaller than 23. So going back over here, 7 can go into 23 3 times. Oopsies. 3 times, because we just found out that 7 times 3 equals 21. (21 minus 23, 3 minus 1 is 2. Bring down my 1. Again, it's going to be another 3. Minus 1 is 0. So my answer was B, 33 miles per gallon. Okay. Number 4. I think this question people just were not reading. Number 4 says you have 29 books on your shelf. You have read 18 of those books. What is the ratio of books not read to all of the books on your shelf? So let's go back into the word problem at the first sentence. It says you have 29 books on your shelf. So 29, that's my total. Then it tells me I've read 18 of those books. The question's asking me how many have I not read. So to find that out, I'm going to do 29 minus 18, because 18 is how many I have read. I got 11. So 11 I have not, to the 29 total. Okay, so this question says a submarine was situated 800 feet below sea level. If it ascended 350 feet, what is its new position? Ascend means to go up Descend means to go down. So since we're ascending, we're going up. Okay, but I need to know my submarine was situated at 800 feet below sea level. So below means down, so it's going to be a negative 800. And I'm adding a positive 350. Remember, when we're adding integers with different signs, we have to subtract. So I'm going to do 800 minus 350. After we subtract, we take the sign of the largest number. In this scenario, my largest number is 800 and the sign is negative, so I'm going to put a negative on that 450. The sign's negative, so I'm going to put a negative on the 450. That means my answer has to be B. Alright, so it's a little bit blurry, but we're going to look at this question. It says, use the following ratio table to determine how many pencils will be there. 8 boxes. How many pencils will be there if there are 8 boxes? Okay, I guess that's what they're trying to say. So I have a ratio table. Now this is not what we're used to see. We're used to seeing it written kind of like a T-chart. This one, instead of vertical, it's horizontal. It's still the same process. And this one kind of looks a little bit better because look, you can set up proportions. Okay? We are trying to find 8 though. So what I'm going to do is see if I can find 2. So I'm going to look at my relationship. I have 1 box for 12 pencils. If I have 2 boxes, 4 boxes, and 8 boxes. So with my proportion already set up, I'm going to try to find my relationship. Since I'm going from 1 to 2, I'm getting larger. That means I'm going to be multiplying. Any number times 1 is itself, so that means 1 times 2 is going to be 2. And whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. So I'm going to do 12 times 2, which is 24. Okay, but again, I'm trying to figure out if there are 8. Or what happens when there are 8 boxes. So then, since this first ratio we have is actually a unit rate, what I can do is set up another proportion. 8 over x, or if you're not comfortable with that, you can put a question mark. Again, it's going to be the same concept. 1 times any number is that number, and since I'm going from a small number to a large number, I'm going to be multiplying. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom, so then I'm going to do 12 times 8. And if you don't know your 12s, you can go back to your multiplication chart and find the 12s. Right here, 12 times 8 is 96. So then I'll go here. Oops. Put 96 as my answer. So when I zoom back in, C was correct, 96 pencils. Alright, so this question is pretty similar to the question that you're going to be seeing on the test. Instead of using jumps though, they'll look like this. They're just using groupings, and they're denoting the groups by the dotted line. Alright, so I'm going to try to figure out how many groups I'm going. So the first thing I'm going to do is just count my groups. Now, if you prefer to do the jumps, do the jumps. I like to do jumps. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 groups of, the multiplication symbol means groups of. The first number tells me how many groups there are. The second number tells me how many are in each group. So to figure out how many are in each group, I'm going to take a look back at my number line. Now, my first number is 0. Then I go all the way, I skip count all the way to -4. Then I skip count again to -8, and then again to -12, and then all the way to -28. So I'm counting my groups using a positive number, but they're made up of -4. I'm looking for a problem that has 7 times -4. My first option is subtraction, so no. My second option is a +4, no. My third option is 7 times -4, yes. If you picked D, remember that a negative times a negative is a positive, so this couldn't have been correct, because that answer is negative. Okay. With this question, it says which equation matches the diagram. So I'm going to look at my diagram. It's a number line, and I have 2 lines. With these questions, you always start at the line that begins at 0. So it's usually the bottom line. So, So it starts at 0 and it goes to the right to 4. So it's a +4. Then it goes backwards all the way to -2. So I'm looking for an equation that has a +4 first and then an answer choice of -2. So that's not a +4, that's not a +4, that's a +4, but what comes after the equal sign? I need a -2, the only one that has that is C. Okay, so the question about the cupcake, I did not mean to leave that question in there for you guys. So we're just going to skip over that. Okay, number 10, my aunt paid $124 for 4 concert tickets. What was the rate for 8 concert tickets? Well, it's talking about rates, so that means I need to set up a proportion. Whenever I see the word rate, I'm going to automatically think proportion. So I need to figure out what's the price for 7 tickets. I know the price for 4 tickets is $124. $124 for 4 tickets. I'm going to set that equal to another proportion. Tickets are represented by my numerator. My second proportion is, well, what if I wanted to buy 7 tickets? How much is that going to cost? So from here, you might not be able to see a relationship going across. And when I mean going across, I mean going from denominator to denominator or numerator to numerator. There are times when you can use a relationship going within, so from the same proportion. Since I'm going from 4 to 124, I'm multiplying, so it's going to be a multiplication problem, but what I have to do first is divide and find my unit rate. So I'm going to do top in, bottom out, 124 divided by 4. So that tells me 4 times 31 gets me to 124. So then to find my answer, I need to do 7 times 31. Whenever I divided 124 times divided by 4, I also found the unit rate. So the cost of 1 ticket is $31. And the cost of 7 tickets is $217. So that answer choice was C. Okay, the question about the fisherman. So a fisherman was casting off a dock. The line fell for 15 feet per minute. If the fisherman let his line fall for 7 minutes, how many feet will the line have fallen? Okay, that sounds a little complicated, but it's not. And you also have to think to yourself, since it's a negative number, because it's going down, it's falling, it's going down. Oopsies. I can automatically cross off answer choice C. So what I see is feet per minute. That to me is a ratio or a rate, so I'm going to set up a proportion. I know that for every 15 feet, that means the line is falling for about 1 minute. 1 is my denominator. I'm going to set that equal to another proportion or another ratio. So then it's asking me, well, how many feet will it have fallen if it fell for 7 minutes? Okay, find the relationship. I'm going from a small number to a large number. And any number times 1 is itself, so 7 times 1 is 1. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do the top, so I'm going to do 15 times 7. You could stop there once you found that out, because you should know that 15 times 2 is 30, so that automatically means that A is not your answer, so B is your answer choice. But if you wanted to do the math, you can get 105. And it's negative because, again, the line is going down. It's falling. This question asks, which equation represents the diagram? White circles equal +1 and blue circles equal -1. These are blue circles, so they're all negatives. So they'll have that little negative sign in the middle. So what I'm going to do is count first of all, what I'm going to do is count how many negatives I see. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. So I'm going to cross off the answer choices that don't have a -15. Then I'm also going to cross off answer choices that don't have, or that have a -3, because our groups aren't negative. Then my next answer choice, or going through C and D, I have to remember my rules. This goes for multiplying and dividing. As in, one number is negative and one number is positive, or one number is positive and one number is negative. My answer is going to be negative. My quotient or product is going to be negative, so I'm going to look past the equal sign. Which one has a -5? D. D is my answer. Alright, and then this is the last question. I think again, people just were not reading carefully. It says, there are 4 triangles, 12 squares, and 6 circles. What is the ratio of triangles to squares? Triangles to squares. And then it tells me that I need to simplify. So I don't even need to look at circles because that's nothing. So I'm going to just cross out any 6 I see. Then I'm going to set up my ratio. 4 triangles, because triangles is first, to 12 squares. Excuse me. That 4 to 12 is not the same thing as 12 to 4. That's not saying that. That's saying there's 4. They're saying there's 12 triangles and 4 squares. So my only answer choice is C. If I wanted to reduce, well, I'm going to look at my 4s. They're both even, so I'm going to start off by dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then I'm going to divide by 2 again, because again they're both even. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Or you could write it with a colon, which is 1 colon 3, which means 1, 2, 3. And your answer is C.